Welcome. Thanks for being here, everybody, and taking the time to explore our new Track to Change digital platform. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jess Dart, founder and CEO of Clear Horizon, and perhaps the chief evaluation nerd as well. We'll talk more about evaluation nerds later. So, as is our custom, I'd like to kick off by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land I'm calling from, which is the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and I pay my respects to their elders past and present and recognise that sovereignty was never ceded. And I'd also like to acknowledge and welcome any First Nations people joining the call today. Okay, so it's a special time for Clear Horizon. We've just turned 20 and we had a really big party actually this week. And over the 20 years, our focus hasn't really shifted that much, interestingly. It's always been about supporting organisations and teams and communities to maximise positive social and environmental impact. So over the last couple of decades, we've supported many organisations, some of you here today, to strengthen their approach to measurement and evaluation through our consulting practice, but also through our academy. And we've made a deliberate and conscious decision to buck the trend and build Track to Change inside Clear Horizon. Not because it was easier or faster, in fact, it did take us 4 years, oh yes, but because it allowed us to stay true to our values, our practice, and the realities of people using it. So the platform's been shaped by our work over this period of time. What we've seen work, what we've seen fail, what people keep saying is difficult, and I suppose there's a desire to simplify measurement and evaluation if we can as well. So it's grown from real world challenges, not generic tech assumptions. So Track to Change is the name of our platform, and it's for us it's the next important milestone in our journey, perhaps even to MEL 2.0. It's not a bolt-on or a side project for us. It represents the next evolution of our practice. So we've noticed that MEL practitioners have been really struggling to deal with the complexity, uncertainty of real-world messiness, and the messiness just seems to be increasing, doesn't it? In these contexts, change is rarely straightforward. It's rarely linear. An early impact tends to show up in things like shifts in trust, power, narratives, relationships, and behaviour. Not so much that sort of nice linear increase in quantitative outcomes, which we all love to see. It seems to take years before you get to population level results, in fact. So what do you do in the meantime? So we've been banging on for years about the importance of not just looking at the numbers, but also looking at the observations, stories, and bringing that together and really learning from what you're seeing and adapting. And as the saying goes, not everything that counts can be counted. And that becomes even more critical if you're working in systems change and place-based work, which of course are on the increase here in Australia. So it's these signals that are so important to pick up. But unfortunately, they're often scattered in various different systems, or in emails, or in an Excel sheet. And the best thing, they are captured. In some cases, they're not captured at all. They might be missed altogether. So the idea of Track to Change is to sort of see what's happening in the field, to capture that collective noticing, and bring that data together that's often lost, and data that's more human, adaptive, and participatory, and to capture that change while it's genuinely unfolding. So this is the gap that Track to Change was built to address. It's MEL designed for complexity, not compliance. Okay, so why is it different? So it's a little bit different than most MEL platforms that I've seen. It is, in essence, a digital MEL platform to help teams collect, organise and learn together from real-time signals of change in complex initiatives. And equally, you can have lots of people doing this. So let's go into this a bit more. So the key points of difference are that it is about capturing intangible things, qualitative data, stories, observation, and signals of change. And it's based around this concept of collective noticing, which I'm really getting into at the moment. Collective noticing is all about harnessing the eyes and the ears of groups of people or networks. So we've been doing this at Clear Horizon, we've been doing it on ourselves, and we had an all-staff retreat this week, and we collected about 50 impact logs and learning logs, and it was just incredible to read them all and to analyse them together. I honestly did not know about these things. So you find out about a whole load of things that you would not see and would not know if you can do it together. So it's also organised. One of the points of difference is Track to Change is organised around these things that we call outcomes areas. We used to call them domains of change in MSc, for those of you familiar with MSc. They're a bit like buckets of change. You can set them up any way you want, and then you tag any observations and stories against these types of change. This creates great flexibility in how you want to set up your measurement, evaluation, and learning system. And another difference is that it allows you, if you want to, you can turn this on or off, to track how you're actually showing up. So this is, for any evaluators online, this is a bit of a nod to principles-focused evaluation. The idea that how we show up as evaluators, as change makers, funders, is as important as anything else, so that you can actually track and comment on how you're actually each other showing up, applaud each other if you're handing over the pen and sharing power, for example. For any international people in the room, this is part of the ability to track the inner development goals. So Track to Change, coming back to it, was designed by nerdy evaluators like myself. So it has some fairly nifty little evaluation features as well, which you can turn on and off if you want a simpler platform. But it can do things like track for each log. You can tag it for the strength of evidence, the strength of contribution, and the significance. So we'll have a look at that later. So what it gives you is structured data, really, all this structured data tagged and sorted, which you can do all sorts of things with. It's so organised, and because it's got preset things in it, that it's much easier to sort and clean. It's also supported by a whole community of MEL practitioners who have been trying this new approach of collective noticing together, and we really are learning into a new style of MEL. Now, in terms of tech, if you want to ask more questions about this at the end, but to give you a sense, we've really gone all the way on data security and ownership. So everybody who signs up to Track to Change, they get their own instance of data. It's encrypted. Even our tech guy cannot access your data. It's completely on your own server in Australia. And also there's a really easy extraction to other applications. We've got an API link coming shortly as well. But right now we're already linking it with Power BI. Okay, so who's it for? Is it for you? Let's see. I guess we did design it with one particular group in mind, because we've been doing a lot of work, as you probably know, in systems change and in place-based approaches. So it was really tailored around to meeting some of those complexities. People who are working in systems change and want to track things like power shifts and narrative shifts, and who want to spot these smaller signals of change, and also who want to track their ways of working. But actually, it also serves some other needs. Like we've seen some people already who have great quantitative data systems in place, but they're lacking the ability to track qualitative change. And so it can be a lovely complement for that. And equally at this sort of the other end, sometimes people just want a really simple MEL platform. So actually it is quite simple, because it's got a simple MEL plan, and then you've got your tracking your numbers and your stories. So it can work at a smaller level too. And for philanthropy or funders, it does guide people to develop a MEL plan. So it can help your partners develop a consistent approach to MEL, and if they wish to share the data with you, they can. Okay. So how does it work? Okay, well, this is a bit of the flow, and we'll shortly look at it. But just to orientate you first, it sort of goes through the workflow goes through 4 phases of define, design, capture, and reflect. So the MEL teams probably do the first couple of stages, which is setting up an initiative, managing users, and you can bring hundreds of people onto the platform if you wish. If you working in a network and so forth. And then sort of scoping what's in and out, what the boundaries, pretty much like you do in good MEL planning. And then you get into more of the design of the MEL frameworks. We don't build a theory of change yet, but you can upload any one and then use that to decide what you want to track against, set your outcome areas. And if you want to go further, you can develop a full measurement framework, and you can note what your principles are if you choose to measure them. And then there's the capture phase. We'll have a look at that when I show you the platform, but there's 4 what we call log libraries, which you can turn on and off. If you just want 1 or 2, that's fine. And that's where all the data is collected. And you can invite a whole lot more people into the data capture piece. And then there's the reflection bit. So already, I'll show you shortly, each log library has its own dashboard, so you can use that to filter and sort and draw out insights. But we have got this lovely little guided reflection coming shortly in January as the next in the next release. And also, of course, you can link it to other applications such as Power BI. So without further ado, I think it's time that I should actually show you it. So I will do that now. So here it is. Okay, so hopefully you can see that now. Yep. Okay, so let's have a look at it. So up the side here, you can see the MEL plan. So the MEL plan has, it helps you build one, and the settings are there. And then you have your theory of change. You can click on this, and it pops out. You can make it bigger or smaller, so forth. So it's always there for you. But currently, you can have it in any format. So we're not building them out there, theory of change yet. We assume you've got one. And then it's got a measurement framework and the principles. We'll have a look at those all together. So that's the MEL framework, and then you can see the four log libraries, where if you click plus, you immediately build one, and this is showing you what's already in there. I'll show you around shortly. You can turn these off or on as you go. But let's have a look. Let's start with the MEL plan. So let's view the one that's already been built. This is for an initiative called Our Path, which is a fictional, it's not a real one, but we use it for demos. So here you go. There's a description of what Our Path is. It talks about the boundaries, what's in scope, out of scope of your MEL plan, the purpose, and this is all guided, and there's little tips to build this, but here you can see it's about improving, proving, and also sharing to impact stories to mobilize the collaboration. You can note who your audience for the MEL plan are and what they're using, and you can opt to have an evaluation approach or not. So you can say no to this, but in this case it said yes. You can put your questions in, you can say whether you've got an independent evaluation. So it guides you through building a basic MEL plan, what success looks like for MEL, what methodological approach you want to take, and the resourcing. And then there's all these tags you can put in, which come in to make logging really, really simple when you get to that point, because they pop up automatically. So that's the MEL plan. Let's go back to the example. So we've seen the theory of change. So the next part of it is the measurement framework. So we'll have a look at that. So one of the innovations of Track to Change is this idea of organising around outcome areas. As I said, some people call them domains of change, but in a way they're like broad buckets. They're broader than indicators, so you might have 5, and then it makes it really easy for users to log against each of these bigger chunks of this. Some people do this against their theory of change, so they'll look at their theory of change and identify which are the main pathways in their theory of change and make them an outcome area. Or if you're doing something really different like systems work, you can track against something like the waters of systems change like we have here, changes in power and resource flows, changes in relationship, impact on the community, and so forth. You design your own theory of change levels. That's up to you how you do that. So that's the outcome areas. This bit is compulsory. You have to set this up. You can go further and build a whole measurement framework here, outcomes measurement framework, but you don't have to. So if you want to stay simple, you can. So you see here the outcomes measure, you just add them. It's like adding one is like a row in a measurement framework. Let's have a look. So this youth-led initiatives and programs tailored to local needs might be an item from your theory of change that you've decided you want to include in the measurement framework. You can say how you're going to measure it, what the method is. You can add a success target, when you're going to do it, who's responsible, and they'll get an email, and you can say where it's going to come from. So in this case, it's coming from the impact log. Here's another one. That one's from the impact log too. The third one here, you can see you can add external data as well. So that's the outcomes measures. Again, that's sort of like optional. Principles, if you want to do track how you're showing up, ways of working, inner development goals, whatever you call it, then you can add them here. So in this case, it's youth-led, inclusive and culturally safe, fosters local and generative communities, is a bit of a definition, and it says that we're going to do it via the principles log. So hopefully that's enough of an orientation about the framework. Once it's built, of course, it's just there for reference. You can go back and edit it at any time. But the main activity here is in the logging. So this is all about logging. And for those of you who aren't familiar with logging, I guess logging is this idea that many people out there live with it. This works on a mobile phone. So you're going to be out there and you go, oh, I've just seen something and I want to capture it now. So it's about capturing things in the moment. So you can capture different things. Having 4 up is probably more than most people would do. So at the beginning of an initiative, you might just have activity logs, maybe principle logs. And as you move forward, you might add in an impact log. So you don't have to have all of them up, but we've got them all today to show you. Let's have a look at the activity logs. This is very basic. A lot of mail platforms do offer this. We offered this to complete the platform, really. Most of the interest is probably in the impact log, but nonetheless, I'll show you how the activity log works first. So view all, and we'll see. So each one has got a little dashboard at the top. So you can play with this. It's got filters, but you can see here that there's been 9 logs, different activity logs, and across them it calculates reach across all of them. You can see the total reach. We've reached 35 people, and these are the age groups. You can put splits in and things like that. And you can look at the types of activities we've done. We've got 3 workshops, partner building and co-design, 3 of those, and 7 met expectations and 2 didn't. So that's a nice, useful little feature to be able to do that. Here are the logs themselves underneath. And let's just have a look at one. So you can click anywhere and they open. You can have a look. So it happened, in December. You can describe the activity, mental health awareness, how it went. So better than expected, why, you can describe why. You can tag any outputs, the locations, and the outcome areas. It's also privacy, so you can see this one can't be shared. So every log has a privacy element that you have to fill out. So we pay a lot of attention to that. Okay, so that's what it looks like. It's really easy to fill out. If you want a new one, you just say, create new log, okay? So, and it's these little tool tips are all the way through the platform, and they give you descriptions. So what is, it tells you how to write a log title. So you just fill those in, you just type it in, and when it happened, you've got a date thing, okay? So it's really simple to fill out. I didn't do that right then. Okay. So it has great drop-down ability. So let's see, selecting the type of activities. So you can see you can really easily tag things. You can say how it went, better than expected. You can describe why, type that in there. And then the locations are all on drop-down. See that? Outcome areas pop up, and any outputs that you've put in pops up. So it's super easy to fill out. So that's how the activity log works. So that, again, you don't have to use that if you've already got your own, like if you're using SharePoint, or if you're using some other platform like Salesforce for this, that's fine. You can turn it off. The one that most people are excited about and using, I think everybody uses, is the impact log. So let's have a quick look at that. All of the logs sort of look the same way, in the fact that they've got a dashboard at the top and the logs are below. So once you get used to using it, it's pretty easy. You can see the little dashboard here for the impact logs. You can see we've got 11 impact logs. You can see that you can rank them for significance, a bit like in MSC, most significant change, if you've heard of that method. So 4 of them are ranked as highly significant by the participants. That comes in useful for filtering later. You can see which principles are addressed and also which are the outcome areas. You can see we've got 9 impacts They're about impacts on young people. We've got 6 on impact on the community, and 4 in relationships. You can filter the dates, locations, and so forth. Also see how many people have benefited from each of them. So here are the logs. Let's have a look at one again. They're pretty similar to an impact log, except for this time we have things like the ability to rank. So here this has been ranked as highly significant, and there are other ranking that you can turn on, such as strength of contribution, strength of evidence if you wish. And of course you can actually add evidence to this. I don't know if I've showed you that, but when you add all of these, you can add evidence, any types of evidence links, surveys, photographs to each of the logs really easily. Okay, so that's the logging. Now there are 2 other logs. I won't walk you through those. The principal log, that's the one about logging ways of working, and the other one is learning log. And if you want to turn them off, it's the mail administrators. Here's the settings. It's really simple to just say, look, we don't want a principal log, we don't want the learning log, we want to keep it lean and simple, which is one of our aims. So I'll just look back, here it is. So you just see only 2 will appear then, so people won't be cluttered up. So one of our aims is to make this really simple and clear. Okay, so at this point we're going to move into back to the slides, and we're going to have a look at what's coming. So what's coming next in the pipeline. We built this internally from our profit sheet. We don't have big debts, and we can continue to develop it. Isn't that wonderful? So we're building this in-house, and we're continuing to develop. So we've got some more releases coming shortly. Things that are sooner that have already been designed are in January, February. We're going to release the short cycle reflection because we're so into the L. Remember, we're obsessed about learning and using data. The reflection module will actually guide you through looking at the logs and drawing out patterns and deciding on how you need to adapt, and produces a little report too. And there's also the automatic API link will come into play. And we're designing the long cycle report. Now that draws from the entire measurement framework and can bring in other data to produce a sort of results summary or like an annual report sort of thing. In terms of AI, we currently don't have any AI in here. We've kept it pretty straightforward. We've been integrating AI into Power BI actually more so, but we'll be reviewing that. We also are going to be further on, we'll be going to have a community log, which is all people will see on their phone is a plus sign, and you can add a photo and log if people want an even simpler, lighter experience, because that's what we're really aiming for. Also, context log is something that our customers have asked for, which is just to log the changes in the context, which is like if you're really interested in what's going on with the policy windows and the appetites and the narratives, you can log that as well. Also, customization's coming. So currently all the terms are fixed, but we know that's annoying people because they want to customize it. So things like the term initiative, if you want to call it a program, or if you don't like the word outcome area, if you want to call it a domain, or if you want to call principles ways of working, they'll be all customizable, as well as other forms of customization. Okay, so we are now, yes, let's look at the pricing. So the most basic package is, you can see that as essential, where you get 10 users. So it's not really price per user, it's more per initiative. So like the one we just looked at was an initiative. You can have multiple initiatives as well. And then it goes up to professional, where you can have 3 initiatives and 150 users and so forth. After that, we can provide customized quotes. We've got this exciting new trial available. We know people want to try a low cost try. So you can, for 3 months, you can try it out at a much lower cost. And that is $600 for 3 months. And you just pay, if you want more initiatives, it's $100. The reason why there's a cost, we love to give it free, is because it's on your own domain. We have to pay for that. So it's covering just core costs so that you can try it out at low cost. So we're excited on that. There's also add-ons that you can have if you wish. Like, of course, if you don't already have your theory of change, or you don't already have ML plan, you need some work around that, we can support that with coaching or consultancy. And we do actually have already designed Power BI dashboards. These are on top of Track to Change, external to Track to Change, but of course there's a link, and it means you can bring in other data. So I'd actually love to show you an example of that. I know people were keen, so I'm going to share that now. So you just have a look at the sort of what it looks like to do that. Okay, can you see that okay? Are we good? Yeah. So here's, because we obviously at Clear Horizon, we've got a digital team and we build dashboards out too, or you can do this yourself. But we've been playing around with the visualization from Track to Change. So here's the summary page. You can see where things are showing up, like how logs are coming across time. There's about 200 logs in this. You can see that the majority of them are for changes in the school. This is for the hour path one. You can do all the filtering, of course. You can just look at for changes in community and so forth, and you can do date ranges. Let's have a look, and you can see what it is for particular date ranges. So that's really easy to use. And then for activities, again, it shows you the total reach, expectations, which activities. So we've got more activities around community granting than anything else, and the outcomes over time. There's obviously more happening in May here. And the impact using AI here. So you can see a summary of all of the logs here. All of the logs are written in this one, and I quite like this feature. We used this at our retreat yesterday, and you can pop this out. You can pop this out and see it on a full screen, which is really handy to do. And there's also, it will prioritize the top logs. Yeah. It also gives you some statistics like the total number of impact log on the number with average or high significance, which is a sort of bit of a nod to most significant change where we rank them for significance. Got your learning ones as well. We used this at our retreat. We logged our learnings at Clear Horizon and pulled this up and had some amazing conversations around this. You can also see what activities you're learning more about. For us, learnings are things that don't go to plan, so our lessons learned, if you like. You know, you can also rank these and do the dates, and principles, finally. These are the principles that logged. So this is tracking against how we are showing up against our agreed ways of working. And you can see the ones that got the most logs here is inclusive and culturally safe. And you can see who was involved in that. So I just thought that was interesting for you to have a look at a Power BI. That is an add-on, but the beauty of that is, the reason why we're showing it to you is, of course, you can introduce other data into this. So if you're not, you know, if you've got your quantitative data, that can come into this as well. Then if you want to do AI summaries, because we're trying to be super careful with AI at the moment. So the AI that we're using is in the Power BI, and that's optional, but it's not in Track to Change at the moment. We may review that, but we're being pretty careful at this stage. Okay. So that leads us to I'm stopping doing the formal part of this, and we're going to move into the Q&A. And I can see that there's been quite a few questions popping up. So I'm looking forward to answering them. I had one prepared while Giovanni's going to give me a look at the questions in a second.
Before you do that, just a call for everyone to please the question in the Q&A so everyone else can see it. I know we're using the chat for it, but please put them into the Q&A.
Okay, yeah, we've got this Q&A feature because this is not the normal Zoom view. This is a webinar view for lots of people. So if you just go to the Q&A to add the questions, you can upvote questions that you like, or you can add a new one, and then we'll use that to prioritize the questions because we have a lot of people online. So I am going to answer a question that I have ready. So some people have asked, how does the trial work? So the trial is like a low-cost way to try it out, see if it works for you. So the way we normally begin is we like to tailor it to you. So we like to start with a bit of a scoping conversation, see how you're going to use it, so we can help you set it up, because there's quite a lot of customization that you can do to make it as simple as possible and to do just exactly what you want it to do. So we'll scope and then we'll show you a demo of it, and then you sign up to that, and we'll set it up for you. And then you have 3 months to use it, and you have your own site. You own that data. At the end of that period, if you choose not to continue to a full subscription, you download all your data. It's actually a feature I didn't mention. It's really easy to download the data into an CSV file at any point. So you can do that just with a click of the button. So you download your own data, you own your own data. After a short period of time, that data, the instance will be closed. We don't have access to any of the data. Yeah, so that's how it works. Yeah. So now I'm ready to do Q&As. Giovanni, suck it to me. I see we've got some from the...
Let's do it. Yeah, this one.
We're focusing on the Q&A questions, so if you don't mind putting them in that part, go. Yeah.
Wonderful. So there's one from Rick asking
Rick.
again about AI. Could AI generate possibly relevant tags from any background list whenever someone wants to do a log?
We're not using AI inside of Track to Change at this point. Yeah, I mean, it's something that we could build in. We're just taking our time with AI because it keeps so many developments in the field. But you could certainly use AI to do quite a number of things. One of the things that I'm interested in is to do context monitoring, like a context monitoring tool to scan social media and look for context changes or keywords, and bringing that into the context log, I think would be a really nice use of AI, because that would save so much time. But that's like scanning the publicly available data and documents for instances that align with the outcome areas. Yeah. I don't know if that's what you meant, Rick, but we're not using AI inside Track to Change at the moment.
Thanks, Jess. There's one that's quite technical, which is great because we want lots of those. So how does adding evidence into the logs work? What types of file you can use, audio, video, external data? Does the system have anything like transcription services built in?
Well, I'll throw over to Rob. It's fairly basic at the moment. From what I understand, Rob is our full stack developer, and he is here to answer technical questions. Are you here, Rob?
I am here, yes. Would you like
turn
me
your
to turn my
picture on
video
now so we can see you?
Okay. They got me to
You
switch
are
it
a
off
real person.
because I'm ugly.
Thank
I've
you.
had a haircut though. Okay. So you can add audio and video files, basically any, not any kind of file, but you can add sort of documents, spreadsheets, that kind of stuff.
Photos?
That's all in the...
Photos?
That's all in... Sorry, go on.
Can you add photos?
Yep. You can add pictures, all of that kind of stuff in the evidence section for each log type. We don't have transcription built into it yet. That would probably fit into the general kind of AI audit that we're doing, and a possible future feature.
Yeah. One of the things we're going to do with our community is really encourage you to tell us what's the most important features to prioritize. And that's definitely one that's on the roadmap for down the track. Yeah. Okay.
Beautiful. Thank you. There's another question that's quite interesting. So in terms of ranking significance, is there a place to define the criteria that you can use for ranking to guide the logging?
Yeah, when you rank significance, there is some guidance on what significance are in the drop down in terms of so there's some basic guidance that's given. The way, if people want to develop sort of more sophisticated rubrics, you can upload that because there's a link there to add other evidence, and you'll be able to see the rubric as you get to the evidence link page. Yeah, so that's the sort of thing that you can tailor for yourself. But there is a description of what significance means in the help notes already. Yeah, so it's a basic understanding of significance is broad scale change, or change that's newsworthy, that is relevant to a broader number of people. Yeah.
Awesome. We've got a question now from Bro that speaks quite to the future and some of the things that you touched on. So it's a two-part question. The first one is, do you have any learnings to date about what supports the implementation, i.e. the ongoing input of data amongst the group and the people that need to do the log, especially those that don't have high literacy, don't know how to use it, or might have limited access to technology. And the second part is there a plan to make that easy, potentially using an app to support the collection at the point of like that collected nausea that you reference?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we're doing is building a community log. We're calling it a community log. So currently, you have different types of users. So you have users who, like the administrators, who can change everything and edit everything, do the settings. Then you have group members who can come in and do a log and see all the logs. We're thinking of on the pipeline is to develop a third type called a community user. So the community user will only see they'll open it. This is all works on a mobile phone already. So you just tag it to your browser. It comes up. It's all mobile friendly, and it will just appear a plus. A plus will appear, and you press plus. You can upload a photo, or maybe we'll speak into it, that sort of thing, and it will be really just what happened, and we can strip it right back. So we are working on making it super easy. We've had people from the environmental sector who've wanted to just post a photo in the log and then describe it, and we're working on being able to do that as a sort of maybe right up front. Stick the photo, write down what that means. Yeah. So we're working on that. Hopefully that. Currently, one of the features that we haven't got yet, but's in the pipeline, soon to come, is offline access. So currently you do need to be online, but that's something we're going to attend to pretty quickly. Yeah. That's right, Rob, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. Another question?
Awesome. Yes, Liz is asking if it's possible to customize the privacy section. She works in a sensitive environment and wondering if you could apply labels such as, for example, don't share unless approved by an elder.
Yeah, currently I didn't go all the way through and show you how the log works, did I? Currently it says, it's got three options. It's like can be shared, can't be shared, need to check. And when you press need to check, you can say who you need to check with. So you could say it needs to be checked with an elder. So you could currently do that with the current system. So yeah, and it's the contact details. Yeah, so that's a really nice point. Yeah, so we've tried to cater for that. Whether you could customize the wording to say check with an elder, that would have to come later. Currently, we can't customize the wording, but it's something we're looking at down the track. Great question.
Wonderful. Yeah, lots of awesome questions coming through. Kit's got another one related to Power BI. If we have an existing dashboard, can this be integrated into the system?
Ethel, I have Ethel with me here. Come over here, Ethel. She's our Power BI
Hey
person.
Everyone. Great question. Well, the way it works now is that you can export your data from the platform and import it in a Power BI dashboard. So if you have an existing one, you could add that track to change data in your existing dashboard, or the other way around, where in the track to change dashboard, you could add your own data sources, your own insights to really consolidate all your data and insights into one place.
And tailor it, really.
And tailor it, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because lots of people might have quant data that they want to bring in, or population level data, and that's all feasible with Power BI, and obviously. These days, people tend not to just use one platform, do they? Yeah.
We do also have a more general API integration planned that was on the roadmap, so that it could be more kind of out of the box to be able to link Power BI and potentially other platforms as well.
Thank you, Rob. Any more questions, Giovanni?
Yeah, we've got plenty. So another one that probably speaks to the community log that we touched on. So Caitlin's asking whether for community contributions, is the interface the same like the one that evaluation participant sees?
That's it. Well, we're saying it won't be the same. No. So it will look different. It will be much simpler. And yeah, tell us what you think it should be, because we're still designing that bit. We imagine it'll be really simple. You'll go into Track to Change and it'll just say, do you want to add your log? Do you want to see your own logs? So the idea is you can add your own logs. You can just add a log and you could just see the logs you've produced and download them so that you can do it yourself like that. So you have ownership of your own logs. And you can edit your own logs. That's something else we should say. You can go back and edit your own logs. The mail administrators can edit, and and the person who's logged a log can edit as well. And you can also write little comments. I didn't show you the comments feature. I've been really enjoying the comment feature. So when people at Clear Horizon, we just collected 50 logs against our strategy, and staff all collected the logs. And I went in, and every time somebody logged one, I commented on their log. I was like, oh, this is really amazing, but could you add a bit more on this? And they automatically get an email saying that. So that's a really nice feature that I find really handy. And you can congratulate each other on the logs. You can read them and you can say, well done, you know, things like that, if you've got them set up to show. Yeah. Okay.
Awesome. And yes, Justine, we can include pictures and video. We touched on them before. Ellen's asking, she said she might have missed it, but at the design phase, can we add rubrics, for example, for the ranking?
Well, currently we haven't done that, but that is something that we've been thinking about. So you can describe what success looks like for one of your measures, for your principles, and it'll be pretty easy to add a field where you can load up a document. And when you load, that's the beautiful thing, you load up a document with a link, it will show you, like the theory of change viewer, it will show you it right there. So when you're logging, you can see it. So that would be pretty easy, because we can, every log, you can add a link to it. So you'd be able to see that. So how do I say it? Nearly wouldn't be hard to make that work. And rubrics, of course, we love rubrics at Clear Horizon. So our consultants, because we're going to be using Track to Change a lot ourselves. And so, yeah, they're going to hassle me to make sure that happens pretty soon. Yeah.
Awesome. Great question again from Caitlin. What are the accessibility features? Do we have any?
Accessibility features. Rob?
Yeah, well, so we've sort of made it so that it's completely keyboard accessible. So you can sort of tab through everything. We've got ARIA elements on things so that it should hopefully work well with screen readers. And the colors that we've used are accessible so that the contrast is good for people with vision impairments and that kind of thing.
Thank you. Great question.
Another one from Ellen. Any link to a GIS system for the initiative? I'm not sure what a GIS system is, but
Don't
you
worry,
might.
I know what that means. Not at this stage, no. Geotagging, we don't have geotagging, but that's something that if people felt was really important, you just add a location right now. But I guess if that's something people felt was really important, that's something we could consider down the track. This is why we need to hear from you, like, what do we need it to do next? Yeah.
Yes, and this is a good one, because someone's asking, what is an initiative? We talked about these initiatives and in the plan, what is an initiative?
Yeah, okay, so an initiative is anything that has a MEL plan around it. So let's say you're an organization and you've got 20 programs. So it could be a program you could have, and they all have their own theories of change with their own measurement framework. You could have like one initiative for each program, and then you can have one initiative that pulls all the data together from all of those programs. So that's one way in an organizational setting. In community settings, because this is designed for place-based approaches too. So for example, we work with Our Town. If there's anybody from Our Town, hello. They're thinking of trying it out soon. And there's 5 communities. So each community will have its own initiative. They can't see each other's data, but there is a possibility of pooling all the data together to look at the overarching effect. So that's the beauty of initiatives. They're private to the people who have it. So an initiative is a program, if you like. We use the word initiative as just we had to choose something. So yeah, and Track to Change. So this one that I demonstrated to you for Our Path was one initiative, and yeah, you can have multiple ones. If you're a funder, for example, you might have one for different grants management system grants that you're running. Yeah, hopefully that helps. Program, initiative, investment. People use different words. Project, yeah. Okay, another question.
We've got a few more. So can we integrate tools like mWater or Kobo for data gathering?
Well, I mean, That's a possible future. We can certainly link. You can upload data, can't you, Rob? And you can add, like, let's say if you've been using Kumu, or you've been using social network analysis or something like that, and you want to bring the evidence in, that's easy. You can do that now. Against, like, you might say, oh, we've had a big shift in the number of connections that's been made, and the evidence is from this. So you can upload any evidence types you like, from surveys, from anything. But in terms of integrating with other systems, that's something to think about. Yeah, we'll be keen to have a chat with you about that. Potentially, anything is possible if enough people want it, right? Yeah. But right now, no.
Another great question, Jess, that speaks to the scalability of the program. So someone asking, can you see this working at scale, particularly, you know, given that a lot of people will be putting logs? How do you ensure that the quality of what goes in there is accurate?
I mean, we've been thinking about scale quite a lot, because some of the initiatives we work with work at a really large scale. And, like, I guess there's this idea of, when you get to large scale, do you need to moderate the logs? So we've been thinking about adding a feature of moderation, so that currently the mail administrator can edit any of the logs. So you could do it that way. And when it's logged, when an edit's made, that is listed that an edit's made, and that person will get a message that it's been edited, so it's all transparent. So you could check the quality there. I check the quality of the logs at Clear Horizon by using the comment view. So I write, that's I'm really interested in that, but could you add a bit more about this? So I guess data is only ever as good as you tend to it and clean it and so forth. But scale, yeah, we've been thinking that there's no reason why you couldn't have 100, 200 people logging, and then you've got the different initiatives. And it sort of scales up and down in interesting ways because of the activity log. An activity log, you could see that as a project. So each project is an activity. So you can have multiple projects and then log against the common outcome. So for a collective impact initiative or a place-based initiative, you have multiple agencies logging against the same shared outcome framework, for example. So there's some features that I think are pretty interesting in how it could scale. But I take your point about the quality of logs. So there are ways to do that now, but I think that's something we might build on and listen to what you all need, of course. Yeah.
Oh, there's another question from Andrea just about data. So how is the program or survey data brought into and linked to logs and then visualized to support a plan? You notice that in the data tabs, in the logs page, how does that work? Is structure change mapped to the Power BI dashboards to automatically produce the content? I think we touched on it, but maybe you can elaborate a bit more.
So this is interesting. This is where it's a bit different than most. It's not a survey tool, and it doesn't have survey features in it at this point. This is a collective noticing tool. So the idea is that members of your network or your team will enter the logs, like in the field, wherever they are, enter them directly, not through a survey link, just directly noticing, filling it out to make it really easy. So it's a way of using eyes and ears of a group. So it's not a survey-based tool, which is interesting, isn't it? So it's a real point of difference there. So this is why it's all about logging. Saying that though, when you log a change, like you might have just done a survey and you might say, oh, there's an increase, a 20% increase in this, this particular behavior. You might want to log that. So you can log that as, hey, we've had a change in changes towards, I don't know, whatever it is, environmental practices, let's say, and as evidenced by this survey. And then you can load up the survey link as evidence to that. So it's more about cascade, it's more about gathering together the evidence. So you can use any type of evidence. But with that, we were thinking maybe people would want a basic survey in the data collection tool module. Most people use SurveyMonkey and things like that and other forms. But there's no reason why we couldn't have a basic one if people just want everything in one place, and then you can easily send out a link from track to change. It's pretty easy to integrate that in. But we've been focusing on the logging feature because that's what it's all about. It's about this concept of collective noticing. Yeah. And the second surveys, they can go straight into the Power BI as well if you have a regular survey. That's the other way. Yeah.
Awesome. And the second part of the question was about the data coming out mapped to Power BI, and you talked about the ability to extract and the integration that's coming out. So it will be straightforward going into Power BI.
Yeah. We already have Power BI templates set up and going. Currently we're downloading and uploading, which is pretty quick to do, to be honest, because it's all structured. But we're looking, the API link comes in soon. Is that right? Yeah.
Awesome. There's someone that's asking, as a consultant, would it work if you use it with like many clients and have an initiative for each of your clients?
As a consultant, yeah, you could do that. Like, this is how we will probably do it at Clear Horizon, where we're working. If our clients would like us to use Track to Change and we're holding the initiative, we could have one initiative for each client, but we'll be holding the data in that case though. But that's actually a lot cheaper if you think about it. One of the costs is the fact that each instance you have to pay for the domain. So on Azure, that is. So if you keeping it all on one, multiple initiatives on one, it's a little cheaper. Yes, that's how we will work. For those who don't want to hold their own data, is we'll hold the data as an initiative, and they won't have access to anybody else's data. Yep. But we'll have access to it.
Another great question, just about what testing have we done so far? Has anyone used it in the community? It might be worth, mentioning the impact log. It's been out.
Yeah. This is not our first run. We built a version of this a year ago and released it, and we just called it the impact log. So that was only one module with not the mail plan and not the other libraries. And we had a number of clients using it. They're still using it. They're upgrading to the new version. So yes, it's been out, that part of it has been out on the market for a year. For a year, is it? Huh? 2 years, 2 years, yeah. So it's in that sense, it's been tried and tested, yeah. And there's the people who are still subscribing to it. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got two more questions from Rick. So kind of wrapping up, one is, with all those requests for these multi-directional features, how would you ensure that there's no confusion and the app doesn't go crazy? And second part is, what is not going to be a feature in Track to Change? What do you exclude from that possible list of things?
That's a great question, because it is a real aim of mine, is to make it as simple as possible for those organizations that don't want too much. So there's quite a lot of settings in the back that the administrators can turn things off. So you can turn a lot of things off. Like, you could just have an impact log, and turn the other ones off. In the impact log, you can turn off significance rating, you can turn off strength of contribution, you can turn off quite a lot of the bits to make it much simpler for users to fill out. So we're really trying to work on that one, Rick. And there may be more we can make optional as we go through. You don't need a theory of change. You don't need a measurement framework. You actually can use Track to Change just by defining your outcome areas and using the impact log. So it can be a much elevated version. I showed you a fuller version to show you all the features, but you can turn a lot of it off. And the community view doesn't see the mail plan, doesn't see any of that. They just see, I want to do a log. And you see your own logs. So that's how we're trying to simplify. But I'm really interested in other people's ideas for simplifying, because that's one of the real aims of this, is to declutter and make it really beautiful and simple to use. Yeah. There was another question, wasn't there, in that?
Yeah, was it, if there anything that it's not going to go in the app, or something that's off the table completely?
Well, I mean, I guess we're bringing a philosophy to this, like Clear Horizon. We've sort of put our foot out and say this is what we think good mail is, and we're trying to stick to the guns of having a coherent approach with Track to Change. So you'll see it's not very heavy on the targets. It's not really for results-based accountability where you're tracking against every target the whole time. It's trying to focus. So if you really want to do results-based accountability, there's probably better apps to use. It's not scraping a whole lot of public data. Other platforms do that, but we would tend to do that in Power BI. rather than in Track to Change. Currently it doesn't have design elements, like when it designs a mail plan, but it doesn't design an initiative, does it? So that's not included at this point. It's possible that we'd extend it out to be sort of design and mail, but that's might be a few years away. So I guess there's lots of things that we're trying to hold true to a particular vibe, particular approach. It's aimed at like no fuss mail. Not, and it doesn't have it's not led by a whole load of indicators. Although I have seen people, instead of having one client, not to be mentioned, instead of having outcome areas, and I suggest 4 or 5 outcome areas, they had an outcome area for every indicator. So they had 20. So you can actually use it like that, but that is not what it was designed for. But, at the end of the day, it's how you want to use it, isn't it? We don't control that. Although I have things I like. Yeah.
Just one quick question before we wrap
maybe
up.
the last one. Look at the time.
The very last one. Justine is asking, what's the support after someone buys the platform?
Oh, yeah. So, no, does somebody else know this better than me? Is this Giovanni? You want to tell people the support package that comes with it, or is it you?
Ethel, yeah, you go, Ethel.
When it comes to support, we have technical support, so with the platform itself. If you have a bug, if you need some troubleshooting support, we have a wonderful team who's here to support you as quickly as they can. But we also have the mail support. We have every person who buy Track to Change has a mail consultant attached to you, can really answer your mail questions as well and make sure you get all the support you need. Of course, it is a bit of a, if you need extra consulting work, then we can also quote you as well for that. But if it's just some question here and there, you will have technical support and mail support.
Actually, there's this awesome button on the side of Track to Change. It says feedback, and you can take a picture of the screenshot, you can report a bug, you can request a feature. I have been doing that to Rob non-stop, and he's very responsive. At the end of that red button is a Rob. Yes. So there's there's online, rapid turnaround technical support, and then there's the mail support. I think you get a couple of hours. There is Rob. That's where he's at the end of that red button. I send him little messages all the time. He answers me. It's fantastic. And then there's the mail support, and you get a couple of hours of mail support with the trial. Yeah. Okay.
So with that
Excellent.
mail support, they could, I think I'm right in thinking that they'll help you set up the platform to make it as simple as possible for users, right?
Yeah. Against your own mail plan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okie dokie.
Excellent. And then here we are, Jess, if you want to do a little wrap up, and thanks everyone.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming. I know a lot of people have dropped off now. Thank you all for coming. One thing to note is this is recorded, so anybody who's on it can watch it again or share it if needed. Yeah. Okay. Take care, everybody. Thanks for joining us, and goodbye, and I hope you have a nice day.